Hi, I'm Ken Engle, I'm a tart cherry grower in Williamsburg, Michigan, and we're here at my Montmorency high-density tart cherry orchard. We're watching our harvester come down the road, harvesting tart cherries right now. Even though it takes a lot more money to plant more trees per acre, when you start getting production earlier and have a system that's easy to manage and is going to be consistent, then you have some security in what you're doing. These are Montmorency cherries on the Engle broodstock. These trees are actually planted 5 feet by 12 feet, and in order to accommodate this, we are making use of a converted blueberry harvester. It's a Korvan 930 harvester with a coffee head. The harvester's been converted and modified for this system. We took it to a local fabricating shop and had them raise the height of the machine by about 3 feet so it would fit our system. The way the system is designed is that we've used bamboo poles with rubber tab bands to get the trees to grow a single trunk that would be 10 feet tall, and then it would have side branches that are weak and limber in holding the fruit on them. And so we were not sure when we started this system that the trees would respond in this way, because typically cherries are not dominant enough to grow a straight leader. But we found out in the third year that the trees would actually respond and do this. Now we're really excited because we know that we can take this system and we can actually have a tree that's about this deep to the trunk, which is great for light penetration, and then have it grow all the way like this to the top of the 10 feet high and have all this be bearing surface. So it will help us to increase our production and have fruit. This tree is actually in its 5th leaf. This production on this tree is actually moderate. We had a cold spring when this was in bloom, and so the production could actually be very much higher. The way the harvester actually works is you can see the beaters at the top vibrating the tines that are in the tree. Those tines are actually passive and they're actually allowed to just rotate through the trees. And as they go through the trees, they're shaking and they shake the cherries out. I'm really happy with this system because we're finding that our removal of cherries is in the high 90% range. The harvester's moving at about 1 mile per hour. Done a little bit of testing, found out that faster than that, we start to get a little bit of tree damage. And of course, by going at 1 mile an hour, we can get the kind of productivity we need out of this machine. I think overall, when you look at the cost of this machine and compare it to the conventional cherry shaker, this machine is going to be about half the cost of a conventional shaker, but maybe not cover as many acres as you would with a shaker in a day. One of the things that you might notice here is the fact that there's an irrigation line that's actually on a wire supported underneath the trees. We do it this way in the orchard. It minimizes the damage that we get from wildlife, and it also helps us by knowing if the system is working because we use it quite extensively for irrigation and fertigation. One of the concerns I had going into this harvest was whether that was compatible with the fish scales that are at the bottom of the harvester, and it has not been an issue. So future modifications that we're planning on making in the machine is to have the tines, which are going through the trees, all the way up to the top of the tubes that hold them. This was the first year of the machine, and so we took what we had and to see if the concept would work. Now that it's working, as the production moves up the tree, then we will have tines the full height of the trees. The other modification that we need to make is to have a conveyor system so that the cherries are, instead of having to harvest into lugs, that they'll go directly into a cherry tank. That should be easy to do. I've talked to the manufacturer already, and they have already other machines which they can adapt to that system. One of the features of the harvester is the fact that both sides can raise and lower independently. Talked to the manufacturer, and one of the additions that I think we'll add to the machine is a self-leveling feature, so it can work actually on side hills, and it can be leveling itself as it goes down the row. The other feature that I'd like to add would be a self-steering feature for the machine, which will keep it right on the row on the trees. One of the things that's really of concern and what we're looking at right now is if you look across the row at where the trees have already been harvested, and you look down the row, the brown branches on the ground are actually branches that we cut off when we were hedging the rows. So you can see that we took off quite a bit of vegetation. There's a lot of growth in this orchard. One of the things also that I'm really happy with is the fact that as you look down the row, you don't see a lot of broken limbs. It looks very good as far as the cultural aspects for the trees. We wanted to have a system that was simple to do, something that we didn't have to think a lot about every time we went to a tree to train it. And so this system is based upon a tall spindle system. Basically, we're just taking a standard tart cherry tree that we normally plant under conventional systems. We're using tab bands to tie them to a bamboo stake. We're taking the side branches and cutting them back to 2 or 3 buds. In the first 3 years of training, there's just the handwork. Once that we've gone past the 3 years, we started doing mechanical hedging, and even in the 3rd year. One of the things that hedging does is it causes the shoots back in the tree to break, producing limbs back here that are going to be producing fruit next year. This is already, you can see buds forming here that are going to be next year's growth. This is going to be next year's production, and there's lots of it, and because of the narrowness of the tree wall, there's going to be light there that's going to have the fruit uniform, it's going to color, it's going to size. And as the trees get older, one of the suggestions by the researchers is that we can come back in, hedge these back closer to the trunk, and start this whole tree wall over again and not have to be replanting a whole orchard. When we decided to do this system, I think the main driving force behind it was we wanted to have an economically competitive orchard. We needed to have trees that were in production earlier, earning money, paying back the cost of the investment, so that we could be economically viable as an operation. This is, I think, so important for many of the growers, and especially if any young person is thinking about coming into the tart cherry business, they need to be able to earn money and make a living off of this system. One of the things that we found out this year is that we had one block of cherries this size, 4-year-old cherries, that averaged over 8,000 pounds per acre. That's pretty incredible. One thing I'd like to do while I'm out here in the orchard is thank the people who were an inspiration to me to go forward with this project. A few years ago, Dr. Ron Perry introduced the fact that a rotating tine harvester, like used in blueberries, could also be used successfully to harvest cherry trees. Of course, you've seen the harvester in action, but just having that research and knowing it's going to work let me go forward. The other person in particular I'd like to mention is Dr. James Flory from Michigan State University, whose knowledge about Montmorency cherries and fruit trees, physiology, how they respond to light, and the whole idea of hedging, and a lot of the cultural practices that we're implementing here are making this a very successful project. I think with the support of a university like Michigan State, that this project moving forward, we're going to adapt, and there's going to be situations that we have that are going to come up and we're going to need answers to, and it's nice to know that you're being helped out by the researchers at the university.